Me. I mean, I'm delighted to be part of this global conversation.
Thank you very much, sir. That's
a tremendous job for our country and for the presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And if appearing on this program is what is going to help you continue to do what you are doing, why not?
Thank you.
Let me start by, the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when it started, and for the first 1 year, 3 months, had a minister of industry, trade, and investment. After a year, 3 months, when the cabinet reshuffle happened, 2 ministers were actually sent to this ministry. One, the Honourable Minister of Trade and Investment in the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. And then the second minister is me, the Honourable Minister of State for Industry in the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Because we're speaking to a global audience, because we also, have the responsibility to properly educate. It was important to start by having to, say what I've said. I'm the Honourable Minister of State for Industry in the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Having said so, let me say that, this government, came in with an 8-point agenda. And, the 7, point, the seventh agenda of this 8-point agenda has to do with accelerating industrialization through digital economy, manufacturing, and innovative technology. I mean, that is almost like an exclusive, agenda for the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. And in terms of the deliverables, in terms of the performance appraisal, the ministry is always and has continued to be appraised under Agenda 7. Having said so, I mean, and you've gone on and on. Everything you've said is correct. I mean, the potentials of our country in terms of the natural resources, in terms of the huge human endowments, I mean, it cannot be questioned. I think that the greatest challenge has been our ability to translate all of this into something that works for country, into something that works for the Nigerian people. And there is no better indication of the commitment of the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, than his recognition and appreciation of the role of industry, which is why in the last cabinet reshuffle, like I started by saying, he had to make sure he had a Minister of State dedicated to industry. And that's why I'm the Minister of State for Industry. And quite a number of things have continued to happen to enhance our industrial growth. And I think that wherever you are, part of this program from, you're going to appreciate the fact that our country will not make any progress. Our country will not achieve economic development unless there is industrial growth, unless there is manufacturing, unless there is all of that. And I think that this government, at the very beginning, has tried to demonstrate and to give effect to this by taking the actions that it should take to be able to enable this to happen.
And other foreigners, so that when they go to your website, they can say, okay, like for example, I want to start, this kind of franchise. You have somebody you can talk to. Because if you just say, okay, we have enabling business, this and that. Yeah, those things are great. And President Tinubu is doing great.
Very much for having us, Honourable Minister and the host. Thank you so much. This program is actually our program. We've been following it, and I want to thank you once again, the Honourable Minister, for being here. Actually, the Honourable Minister happened to be one of his essays when he was a senator, and he knows how dogged I am in business. So I recently started a clothing line. He's aware of it, and I want to ask just one question. I think he's aware because I've asked that question in the group. I happen to be a victim in this. Most of the small businesses are suffering a lot when they go for loan in BOI.
Very much, JK. Thank the minister for taking time out of his busy schedule to join us today. And I must confess, I wasn't too disappointed. I know him fairly well, and I can tell you, he couldn't have done less than he did in articulating positions and educating us on what the ministry and indeed the government is doing in the area of trade enhancement, development, and encouraging foreign investment in Nigeria. So, Honourable Minister, thank you very much for coming out to further educate our colleagues, both in Nigeria and in diaspora, on what the government of Asiwaju is doing to renew the hopes of Nigerians. For the J.K. Adebola Ademole team, and most especially those in diaspora, all I would just continue to say is thank you very much. I'm sure the president, like I've mentioned to you here one or two times, is not unaware of what this group is doing. I can tell you for free that I've mentioned it to him a couple of times, and he's aware. And to know that the SGF, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, also joined us today. I think the last time it was the Chief of Staff, Minister, and several of his ministers have come on the program. You can be sure that he is well briefed, and all of them are passing this message on. And like I've noted, it can only but continue to get nearer home. With the ministers, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Chief of Staff to the President, and top government officials participating here, it just tells us the seriousness and the regards the government has for those who put this together, and indeed for our brothers in diaspora. So I would just say, continue to do what you are doing. You are doing all you could do, all you can, and you are doing well for your country. The country, of course, appreciates you, as I've observed with the high caliber of government officials participating. And I'm sure before long we're going to have the vice president and possibly also the president joining us on this program. And I can assure you, we will achieve that. Collectively, we will achieve that. We will work on it, and I'm sure we will do it. Trust me on that. We will do it. It will be done. I'm sure Honourable Minister John Owan Enoh, my brother, my friend, will pass the message on to let the president also know the SGF will do so, the Chief of Staff will do so, I will do so, and all the ministers who have been here and will still be here will continuously do so, will also do so. And before long, we shall be, hopefully, the first group of this nature to host our president on a platform like this, beyond just the TV appearances. We can do it, and we will do it. So I thank you very much, and for doing what you do. Continue to do what you do. Your efforts are not unnoticed and are not unappreciated. Minister, thank you very much for your education. SGF, thank you very much for taking time. That's my big no, for taking time to join us. And all the participants, one must also say thank you very much. Because without the participants, if we continuously have this program week in, week out, and we don't have those who will listen, who will just be speaking to empty audiences, I also say thank you very much. Distinguished Senator, I see you. I hear you.
Big bros. Well done.
Thank you very, very much.
Well done.
We are indeed grateful and happy to have you with us. God bless us all.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, our grand patron. I think our Honourable Minister is back on now. So
I apologize. I mean, it's I was just you can hear me, everyone?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I was just concluding my answer to the first question that was asked by Honourable Jacob, and I said that after visiting the survey, sugar company, I mean, two things I highlighted: the fact that one, we're either able to get a core investor, get interested in that facility, and we start negotiations immediately, or we may have to be forced to actually get back to the recommendations some years back by BP, namely that Nigeria's equity, we have to sell it off. And I think that one of the things I can inform this audience is that since after that visit, the technical committees of the two countries have actually met. They met, I think, at some point this week, to consider all the options and to be able to get back to my colleague and I so that we can take it forward. But basically, something needs to happen to that facility, as soon as yesterday. Dr. Mo talked about telephone services. Bukia Okangbe talked about a clothing line. Incidentally, she's actually raised this with me about her frustrations with, the various procedures and processes towards getting a loan by the Bank of Industry. Let me say right away that the Bank of Industry is acknowledged to be one of, our best-run institutions. Having said so, I can't also, doubt the fact that a lot of our small business people go through quite a lot because of having to meet with the conditions that are necessary, for them to access facilities, especially when they have to deal with commercial banks, all of that, but when I received a briefing from the MD of the Bank of Industry and his team, this actually came to the fore. The focus and the emphasis of the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in terms of delivering the Real Hope agenda is to make it as easy as possible for our micro, small, and medium enterprises to access these loans. The only thing, too, that we need to be able to put into the mix is that, by the time you are giving loans and facilities, especially for Bank of Industry, whose loans are still given at single digit, there must be enough room made to recovery.
Thank you very much, sir. You have the floor now.
Well, what would be my last word? Is to say that you guys are doing a tremendous job, for our country, for the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I praise this initiative. I praise the opportunity that it provides for all of us to come and speak to you and, share and enlighten, a lot of our, diaspora, people, about what government is doing, what our government is about, and being specific to industry, and to say that, being in the diaspora community, also has indeed a responsibility. What's that responsibility? That the government is, considers industrialization as key, which is why it is the key component of the 8-point agenda of Mr. President. And so we are ready and we are willing to collaborate with, manufacturers and industrialists, whichever part of the world that they are. They are welcome, to contribute to Nigeria's growth. People have talked about infrastructure, talked about all of that. The benefits of our huge population, the benefits of our youthful population, more than outweigh those, challenges and those constraints. And I think I've spoken to business people, to industrialists who themselves have seen it and are involved in promoting this. I thank everyone for this opportunity. Let me end on this note to again say, that I'm Minister for State for Industry, Minister of State for Industry, and that we have two clear mandates in the ministry. Dr. Jumoke is Honourable Minister of Trade and Investment, but we both are under that same, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. And it's because of this program, I've said that we have our 2025 outlook that we're working, to achieve and to accomplish, believing that if our country is going to make progress, if our country is going to have economic development, it has to start with how much industrialization that we achieve. And everybody's hands are on deck. And I'd like to urge everyone to, come make your contribution and see how much that adds, to the big picture where we're all headed. Thank you, everyone.